All right, let's call to order the Monday, April 15th, 2024 meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. Kelly, would you please read the roll?
Patrick Boyd.
Here.
Gene Hackbarth.
Here.
Alderperson Hansen.
Here.
Mark Reinhart.
Here.
Jane Schueller.
Here.
Adam Tura.
And Adam is excused. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, item 2, approval of the minutes of the February 19th, 2024 Historic Preservation Commission meeting.
This is Gene. I make motion to approve them as printed.
Seconded.
All right, we have a motion by Gene, seconded by Patrick to approve the minutes as printed. Any corrections on the minutes? Or any other feedback on the minutes? The only thing I have very minor, in item 7, that should be, the ARPA acronym should just be ARPA.
Yes.
But otherwise, I think everything else looked good. All right, if no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 4, consideration and possible action on the proposed Oh, you're good catch. Good thing Kelly's right here. Item 3, let's take a step back. Public comments upon matters not on the agenda. Please note that comments made during the public comment period shall pertain only to matters under the jurisdiction of the Historic Preservation Commission. Is there anyone who would like to speak on something not on the agenda? Again, is there anybody in person or virtually who would like to speak on something not on the agenda? All right, it does not appear so we will move on. Now we're to item 4, consideration and possible action on the proposed 2024 to 2025 Wisconsin Historical Society grant for the Federal and State Registries designation of the former State Bank of De Pere at 127 North Broadway Street. Presentation by Gene Hackbarth. Gene?
Okay. Thank you. Just one editorial comment here. It's not listed as a Wisconsin Historical Society grant. It's actually listed as a CLG, or Certified Local Government Subgrant, that comes through the Wisconsin Historical Society.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I will be connecting with the current owners of the building. Oftentimes, it's extremely valuable to submit a written letter to accompany the project subgrant application. That's it, unless anybody has questions.
Have you spoke to the owners yet, Gene?
No.
No, okay. Because I know they emailed me initially expressing interest, but I don't know if we have their phone number in that, but we'll have to look into that. Peter, do you know offhand?
I don't have their contact information on me at this time.
Okay.
I'll contact Peter,
Okay.
get that information, and do the follow-up,
Okay.
including requesting a letter from them.
Like stating that they support this?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, because right now we just have the email from them, so I think it would be good to get a formal letter. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Other discussion on this item? Peter, do you have anything to add? Yep, Peter. Yep.
As you can see on the PowerPoint, we did receive the memorandum of agreement draft and the SOW, or the scope of work for this grant project. It is now under review by staff. These are technical steps that we take at the staff level,
Right.
where we will make any edits directly with Wisconsin Historical Society that is facilitating the grant, and we will sign it and then get it returned to them Those are all steps that happen outside of this committee. You don't need to take formal action while that's happening. That's why on the spreadsheet chart, you kind of see there's a little bit of a gap of no activity. That's what happens in that phase. But because we did receive these two documents quite early, 2 months earlier than expected, it does put this project about 2 months ahead of schedule right now.
That's good.
And then Peter, do you want to talk about the grant? We received $6,000. It's a little bit less than what we applied for, which was the $74.89.
But no, yeah, that is what we received. We received what, 6,000? Yes.
And then have we started getting any quotes from the consultants who will help do the research on this?
No, we need to have a memorandum of agreement in place first.
Okay.
Otherwise, we don't have monies in our budget to afford the consultant without the grant.
But these figures are based on past experience, not only for De Pere, but also for other communities within the state of Wisconsin.
Do you think the 6,000 will be enough?
I believe so.
What Gene is getting at is back in November and December when Gene and I were doing our due diligence of submitting the application form, we did get approximate quotes, which were a required component of those packets. So we know, kind of napkin style estimate quotes from 3 different consultants, but we don't have formal, actual bid proposals, which could come out different than those estimated numbers.
Right. Thanks, Peter.
All right. All right, any motion on this? Looks like there is a staff recommendation, so.
You want to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the report from Gene
Okay.
Yep.
And recommendation to staff.
and recommendations moving forward.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion by Gene, seconded by Gene, receiving and placing on file the update from Gene, and then we'll be moving forward with this. So is that good, Peter, for the motion?
This is, for us, it's just a receive and place on file
Okay. Yep.
requirement.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, consideration and possible action on education program number 1. Presentation by Mark Reinhart and Patrick Boyd.
Okay, I'll just start off and then Mark, you can kick in. Okay. Yeah, Mark and I both work at White Pillars as volunteers, and so we brainstormed last week on stuff that we can do, but really don't know the parameters, what we're, what they're looking for.
Education is a broad term.
Yeah. But so just to start things out, we came up with the concept, look at the historical significance of street names, how they got their names on both east and west side.
Ooh, I like that, yeah.
Yeah, and then from that you can go into maybe structures on their certain streets that are historic and stuff like that and tie them into to that. Because a lot of people that are new in De Pere don't understand why a lot of names, what's the significance of the street names.
Right.
The historical significance. So Mark went even a step further, so you want to take over?
Yeah, I just handed a printout to Patrick here on what we've accomplished so far. We did some brainstorming and came up with 4 different things. Like you mentioned, the history of the street names in the city. And there were 3 other things. I don't remember what they are, but
There's some on
they're
the
on
bottom,
the
yeah.
back of the printout. We got to start on the first one there, and it still needs to be fleshed out and all like that. And I'm not quite sure where to go from that. We can keep working on it and present it back at the next meeting and see where we are then. And, other than that, we'll just keep going with it.
And we have access at White Pillars, because we're both volunteers there, of a zillion photographs, historical photographs of certain streets, so we can tie in images of buildings and stuff like that.
Nice. I think it's a really good idea. I've always wondered about the streets myself, how they got their names, and it seems like most of them are named after prominent individuals at the time.
Quite a few, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of them, when the village was incorporated back in 1857, Village of De Pere, there's a lot of street names that are named after the people that were on the first elected to the village committee or whatever it was
Sure.
at that time. That's just one area of it, and it also goes into detail in other areas,
Yep.
naming after people, naming after places and things. The whys, whats, and wherefores.
You know, an example would be like West De Pere used to have Oneida Street, which is now Reed Street.
Right.
But it was
Yeah.
originally called Oneida, and people don't, you know, when they
Yeah.
even hear Oneida Street, you're thinking Ashwaubenon. Well, it was in De Pere as well for a while.
Yep. Have you guys given any thought yet about how to kind of present that information to the public?
I
Create some
haven't.
program.
Yeah. Well, I know Andy Panslaff, our communications director, he has been doing kind of, I don't know, weekly or bi-weekly, where he shares a photo from the De Pere Historical Society. So we could maybe see if that's something he would be interested in featuring on the city's social media.
That would be great. I mean, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
at White Pillars, we can work together with that, and Amanda can put stuff together, but that'd be even better if we do that. Yeah, using photographs and,
Sure, I think online would be a perfect
Right.
place to do this.
Nice.
does that sound okay, Peter, or?
Yes, yes. That's exactly why educational is left to be, as you said, a very broad
Right.
type statement.
And you don't know
Yeah,
who the
this-
audience is.
Historically, this group has used this item to talk about things as interesting or as uninteresting as how to apply for grants, how to restore windows, how to maintain facades of your house. So something that dives into the realm of what is the history of really falls into the context of what this item is about. So you don't need to be afraid that you're building on the wrong thing. It's
Okay,
exactly
good.
what this is about.
Yeah, that's we need the feedback just to get an idea.
Yep.
Yeah, and we can always adjust it. Yeah.
Yep. Gene?
I also like the idea that Historic Preservation Commission is working with the De Pere Historical Society.
Very good.
It's a great partnership that I think both organizations will value
Perfect.
in the future.
Right.
A
Perfect.
picture show down the road.
You know, possibly a picture show,
Yeah.
yes. You know, like, we can coordinate that in and give more, so people can understand more about what this committee is about,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I mean, we could do the social media, but then maybe at some point do an in-person thing where people can come and learn about all the different street names and how they got their names.
And have McKim and Joe Cerrucci do it.
Yep.
Just kidding, no.
I'm just looking at the timeline. Looks like Peter planning on doing this by June.
What you're seeing on there is actually slots for the 6 months of the first half of the year. The months get cut off because that was at the top of the spreadsheet. So this was designed to originally complete within May, so that it was during Wisconsin's Historic Preservation Month. So, but occurring in June is, that's up to you as to when and where you want to adjust this for its starting and completion dates.
So yeah, our next meeting isn't until June, so we can always kind of continue to work on this, in the meantime.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have a lot of access. I mean, the two of us will be together quite a bit at White Pillars, so we'll be in good shape by that time, yeah.
Okay.
It seems like you already have a lot of the research done on the street name, so that's great.
Oh, that's Mark. Good job.
That's Mark, got it all, yep. And then I see you have a few other ideas on here as well. I mean, we could always save those for later in the year, because we always do 2 education programs per year, or at least that's the goal. So,
Okay.
Good.
all right. Any other thoughts or suggestions on this idea?
Not for me, no.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Mark and Patrick. All right. Yeah, right. Peter, should we just do a motion to receive and place on file, or to
if
adopt the concept?
If there's nothing that action is being taken on, you can, you best to receive it and place it on file.
Okay. Make a motion to receive and place on file the update from Patrick and Mark.
I'll second that.
All right. Got an update by myself, seconded by Gene, to receive and place on file the update. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6. Consideration and possible action on the historic district sign distribution instructions and installation. Presentation by myself and Mark Reinhart. So I'll just kick things off here. So this is a project that we started working on last year. There was a lot of work that went into the design of the signs and exactly how it was going to look. We did several rounds of proof editing of the signs, and we eventually came to or finalized, I think it was 55 signs, which we ordered from Joan Sign. And Peter's been graciously holding on to those for the last few months. But we did basically hit pause for quite a few months, at least, because we got the signs towards the end of fall and then we had winter, and the homeowners have to install the signs. So obviously winter's not a good time. So we were waiting until spring came around to actually go about delivering the signs to them. So, the next step then is to kind of figure out exactly how we are going to deliver the signs to them. Peter in his Gantt sheet here, he has probably the next 3 steps are to establish the method for notifying, distributing, and installing. And then how to establish how to verify when the installation has occurred, and what to do if the public doesn't want to install it. If a homeowner doesn't want the sign, do we just hold on to the sign and maybe a future homeowner someday will install it, or exactly how do we handle that? So I guess open to any thoughts from the commission on kind of best practices to get the signs to the homeowners. And then in terms of installing it, it should be pretty easy for the homeowner. Peter, do you want to kind of talk a little bit more about how they would go about installing it? I mean, no like screws in that.
There are no screws. The signs were designed with an adhesive on the back.
Mm-hmm. So, but we still want to provide them with some instructions on kind of where might be a good place for it to go, and then at least it won't be permanently installed as well. So that should alleviate some of the concerns from the homeowner. So. Yeah, my initial thought was potentially sending a letter to the homeowners, letting them know that these signs are available, and to contact us if they'd like to receive one, no charge to them. The other option would be to go door to door and kind of basically take the sign with us and offer to them in person. So I guess that's something that Mark and I we can discuss further, but. Within the next few weeks here, that the goal is to get those signs out. So,
Yeah, I would be in favor of sending a letter
mm-hmm.
and then see what kind of feedback we get.
Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then hand deliver.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And then Peter, in terms of establishing if the installation occurred, is that something that Mark and I can do, or is that something that you would recommend staff maybe doing to make sure it's installed properly? I mean, I don't think there's really any like building code things to be concerned about, but.
A sign of this nature does not require any kind of a permit.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have the staff power to make sure that signs are going up.
Mm-hmm.
Our department just isn't that big.
Yeah.
That's why we need to really rely on you for that type of verification, and identifying suggested or appropriate places for them to be placing their sign.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Do we have a draft of any instructions
Not yet.
as to height or position or anything?
We do not. Do you know, Peter, kind of best practices for that you could?
That's where that comes to you, based on what you want. The city has not done this for signs in the past, so we don't have a past comparable of what we've done. The only thing we have is people who have gone ahead and gotten signs for themselves. And we have placed signs in downtown districts, but never in a residential capacity.
Okay.
Do you know, Patrick, if the Historical Society has any guidance on?
I'll check into that. Because I'll be there tomorrow, so I'll check into
Okay.
it when we get back.
All right, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion on this? All right. I guess I'll make a motion to receive the update and place on file.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion to receive the update and place on file. Any further, motion by me, seconded by Patrick. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Item 7, consideration and possible action on ARPA-funded historic district descriptive signage. Presentation by Jane Schueller, myself, and then it should say Patrick Boyd, not Mark Reinhart. So, so those are the 3 that are on this committee. So I did include some information about timeline of past actions that we've taken on this project and kind of where things are at now. So this is a project that actually began in fall of 2021. We had a subcommittee of 3 HPC members. It was myself, Mike Fleck, and Adam Turriff, who met, and with Peter's assistance as well, we identified some places on the map that might work for each of the 5 residential historic districts to place these signage. And just a little more context, so these signs will have information about why the residential historic district is significant and kind of what the history is. So we identified 15 locations in total. That was 3 for each of the 5 historic districts that are in residential neighborhoods. And then we did forward those proposed locations onto staff, Development Service and Public Works for feedback. So that was back in October of 2021, and then we got the feedback in November of 2021, and quite a few of the locations that were initially proposed were ruled out for various reasons. Too close to the, there's not enough room in the terrace, too close to the street, etc. And then later on that month, we did, or HPC voted to have the subcommittee continue moving forward with exploring the 7 remaining locations that staff identified as being potentially viable. So 7 of the 15 were seen as viable by staff. And then back in February of 2022, the subcommittee did approve the final locations for the signs. And so I had initially sent an email to the subcommittee with kind of my initial thoughts on the signs, and then Gene also provided feedback back in February 2022, and then we ended up finalizing those locations. So I'll just go through each 5 of the districts real quick. So the North Michigan and North Superior Historic District, we had agreed to place that sign at the south corner of the Irwin School property on North Superior Street. Daviswood Ranch Homes, that's going to be on the north side of Ridgeway Boulevard by 800 East St. Francis Road. Randall Avenue, we're going to place that at 802 Lawton Place. That's also going to be on the north side of Ridgeway Boulevard. Mansion Street by 903 Mansion Street. That's right on the corner of Mansion Street and South Erie Street. And then North Broadway, actually the 3 proposed locations all came back as not being viable. because it is a state highway. DOT would need to give approval. So we were thinking about putting it somewhere on the parcel that White Pillars the De Pere Historical Society owns. So we finalized the locations in February of 2022. And then we initially received a grant, CLG grant, for this project. And then due to changes at the federal level, the Department of Interior, it was determined that this project was no longer eligible for CLG funds. You want to talk about that a little more, Peter? No, I think that finished covered it, yeah. But, so yeah, that was kind of sudden, and I know Peter and the Wisconsin Historical Society did a great job to try to still make it work, but just with the new regulations, we couldn't do it. So those funds were redirected to the historic walking tour, which is actually the next item on the agenda. And so we had no funding source then for this project. Then last year, the city got $3.6 million in American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds. And I had requested $15,000 from this project, or for this project, and the city council did approve that. So we do have $15,000 for this project now. The ARPA funds do have to be spent by the end of this year. So there is a hard deadline then by the end of this year for this project. There were, 4 sample signs that we initially identified that might work. And so, that's something that Jane, Mark, and we can kind of go through and kind of decide what we might want the design to look like. We don't want the sign to be too big because it is in the terrace typically, but obviously we want it big enough that it can hold all the information that we will be including. So the next steps will be the sign design and then also the content that's going to be on the sign. And we previously discussed that the best starting point would probably be the Wisconsin Historical Society web pages for each of these districts, because they have a lot of good information on there for each of these 5 districts. And that's information that was originally compiled when we were applying for the designation. So other comments on that?
So you'll keep sending us images of different signs?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah. Because I like one of them of the 4. One I couldn't really
Which one do
see.
you like?
The one that
First one.
Baroka?
Baroka? Yep. Yeah, I like that one too. Mhm.
I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a very good start.
Yeah, and then Peter, in terms of like
That one's not bad either.
the request for proposals for signs, is that something that we could potentially just partner with Jones without an RFP, or is that something that would probably have to go out for
On there.
bids?
It would depend on the dollar amount,
Okay.
if it's over or under 5,000 for costs.
Okay. So that's just another thing to keep in mind.
Sure.
And then Peter, did we, I don't remember if we discussed back in 2022 about the installation. Is that probably something the sign company would assist with, or is that something that the public works staff might want to handle since it's in the right of way?
As part of your site verification process, you'll want to make sure that the site is appropriate with department, or tongue-tied there, with DPW to make sure that there are utilities and things underneath. But I don't think that they would be handling an installation unless that was something that you coordinated directly with them. It's just not something that they would just do because.
Yeah, I think it will be good to just touch base with Public Works again, just because it has been a couple of years since they last kind of gave the sign off on these locations to make sure nothing's changed in the meantime.
Good.
So. All right. Any other thoughts on this item?
Good.
Should we make a motion again, Peter, for a place on file?
If no action is being taken, receiving and placing on file is your best action.
Okay. All right. Someone want to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we receive it and place it on file.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion by Mark, seconded by Gene, to receive and place on file this update. Any other discussion? All right. If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Gotta find my bearings here. Oh, here it is. All right. Item 8, discussion about the historic walking tour update. Presentation by myself. So I do have a memo in the agenda packet. I won't read through it all, but we have had some good progress on this within the last couple months. So this is something that we did kind of a soft launch for last year. We uploaded it on the new Definitely De Pere website. But we had always wanted to kind of return to it to try to improve some of the photos that were being featured, and also to fix some of the formatting issues that we've been having on the site where some of the photos appear pixelated. So I asked Tina Quigley at Definitely De Pere to start a subcommittee, which I am now chairing along, and then also on that committee is Kendall Tilkins, Kendall Dworak. She was recently married. She's the project manager at Definitely De Pere, and then also Holly Williams is on the Definitely De Pere Design Committee. She is also on this subcommittee. So we met on March 14th to kind of go through what photos do we already have, where do we have gaps, what locations could use some improvement. And then in late March, I reached out to the St. Norbert College Library, and they did send back some really nice photos on the St. Norbert properties that are part of the tour. So that includes the St. Norbert College Historic District. That's like the historic core of the campus. Then Old St. Boniface Church, which is now Dudley Burter Hall, and Old St. John's Lutheran Church, which is now the Cassandra Voss Center. So we should be pretty much set now with the St. Norbert College photos. And then on April 9th, Kendall and I met with Amanda Reef. She is the director/curator at the Historical Society. She was super helpful. We went through all of the sites, and she wrote down notes about which ones she could help us with photos for. Also, McKim was there, just happened to be there. And we asked for his assistance on the South Broadway Historic District. Wanted to make sure, we had about 6 or 7 people initially that were involved with trying to collect these photos. And I'm not sure how some of these photos got on the website originally, but McKim was able to notice that about half of the photos on the South Broadway Historic District were actually photos of North Broadway Street. So those are all being removed. So, but I mean, we're very lucky to have McKim who can quickly spot that. And then lastly, so we're waiting on Amanda to get those photos. She did send us some of them already. She does have a busy schedule here the next couple weeks. So hopefully within the next month or two, we can get the public launch underway. So I did speak with the city administrator, Larry Delo, and he did say that our city's communications director, Andrew Panslaff, can assist with the rollout when we are ready, including promoting it on our social media platforms. So I just thought I'd provide an update on that, especially since, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting, this was originally funded by a CLG grant, the one that was initially supposed to be for the neighborhood signs, and then it got redirected to this project. So any questions on this project and kind of where things are at right now?
You said the public launch would be coming soon?
Yeah, we initially were hoping for May to coincide with Historic Preservation Month. But like Amanda said, she should be able to get us the rest of the photos here probably by the end of April. So it's just going to be a matter of, how soon we can get them on the website and if we can get the formatting issues figured out, et cetera. So, but I mean, it's not a huge deal if it spills over into June, for instance, but it would be nice if we could do May, but. Oh, one other thing I forgot to mention, Kendall has a photographer that definitely Pere uses. He is going to be taking a bunch of modern or current photos of the sites, so we'll also upload those as well.
Okay.
So then you'll have the historical photos and then also the contemporary one.
Jonathan,
Yep.
is there a need to bring back to HPC the final photo options and so on? Or can the committee just do its thing, putting them up?
I think we could just do our thing, but then maybe the June meeting we have the Historic Society coming, right? So,
June meeting is that's a meeting where you won't want to put any agenda item of any.
so maybe the August meeting,
Okay.
we could have Pere show the website on the, projection, and then we can kind of show you all. And then, if you do have, suggestions or feedback, we can always edit it. It's going to keep being a work in progress. So,
Just one comment.
Yep.
Working at White Pillars now and then, I know in the past, we've gotten people who go to the library across the street looking for a walking tour kind of brochure. And they always send them over across the street to the museum.
yeah.
And we used to have one, and I don't know whatever happened to that.
Definitely Pere had one in the past. I don't know if they still have hard copy or if it's digital.
Yeah, I could check with Kendall. I don't know if that, how, it probably was a pretty while back because I think, and now, the focus is on just going digital, but we could look at maybe ways to have some kind of a hard copy too. But
Well, at the meeting on last week, at the Historical Society, they were mentioning that once White Pillars has done their building project, that, to add to the walking tour, already what's there with the locks and the dam and the bridges and that, so that all of that can kind of flow as well. So
Sure.
it might just expand that. And that, the starting point could be White Pillars and then move.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and the initial goal was for when you were on the Definitely Pere website, there would be like GPS enabled so that as you're walking around downtown, it tracks you. They've been having technical issues with that function, so still working on that. But yeah, the goal would be to eventually have that where you could kind of see exactly where you're walking and what sites historic sites you're near.
Makes sense.
Yeah, Pere, there's no other updates that we have to provide on this project, correct?
This is a discussion item.
Or I mean, for Wisconsin Historical Society, since it was a CLG grant, that's
No, that CLG grant ended a year ago.
And part of that grant went to hiring a consultant who looked over all of the information that's on the tour. So, all right. Well, that was just a discussion item, so no action needed there. All right, that takes us to the end of the agenda, so I'd be open to a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right, we got a motion by Patrick, seconded by Mark to adjourn. Did you want to say anything more, Pere? Sorry.
You just might want to pay attention to the.
Yep, sorry, I didn't see
projects
that slide at first. Yep.
That you may be participating in, particularly the two on the bottom. They are two projects that will begin before we hold our next meeting.
Okay. And thanks again, Peter, for the work on the Gantt chart.
Yeah, that's really helpful.
Yes, thank you.
All right. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.